The old road twisted like a dying snake as we drove deeper into the woods, headlights barely piercing the creeping mist. Every turn revealed more darkness, as if the forest was swallowing the path behind us. My friends and I, Liam, Chloe and Maya, had planned a peaceful weekend, but unease grew as the trees closed in and the road narrowed. Sunlight barely flickered through the dense canopy. Shadows danced across the dashboard, and the air felt heavy, pressing in from all sides. Liam gripped the wheel, tense. The GPS was lost and Chloe's phone had no signal. We pressed on, hoping for a sign. At last, a crooked sign, cabin, pointed us down an even narrower path. The cabin was decrepit, swallowed by the woods. We sat in silence, dread settling in. This was no peaceful retreat, but a threshold to the unknown. That night, the real terror began. The air was thick with anticipation, every shadow in the room stretching and shifting as if alive. The wind outside howled through the trees, rattling the old windows and making the cabin groan. We huddled together, barely daring to breathe, as the darkness pressed in from all sides. Scratching at the walls circled the cabin, deliberate and patient, as if something unseen was testing the boundaries between us and the night. The sound was faint at first, almost easy to dismiss, but it grew louder, more insistent. Liam whispered, "Did you hear that?" His voice trembled, barely more than a breath. We all had. Our eyes darted to the corners of the room, searching for the source. Footsteps crunched outside, slow and heavy, stopping at the porch, then retreating only to return moments later. Each time the sound grew closer, as if whoever or whatever was out there was circling, waiting for the perfect moment. Chloe cried softly, her hands pressed over her mouth to stifle the sound. Maya wrapped her arms around her, whispering words of comfort that sounded hollow in the tense silence. We were paralyzed by fear, unable to move or speak. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure it would give us away. Then, in a flash, I glimpsed a pale face with dark, hollow eyes at the window, watching us. It vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only a cold dread behind. For a moment I wondered if I had imagined it, but the terror in everyone's eyes told me I hadn't. I ran back to bed, pulling the blanket over my head, shivering uncontrollably until the first light of dawn crept through the window. None of us slept. When morning finally arrived, we gathered our courage and stepped outside, searching the ground for any sign of what had haunted us. We expected to find footprints, claw marks, anything to prove it was real, but there was nothing. No footprints, no marks, as if the night had erased itself completely. The earth was untouched, the woods hauntingly silent, as if they were keeping their secrets hidden just beneath the surface. The only evidence of the night's terror was the lingering fear in our hearts. We knew the night would come again, bringing with it the same chilling uncertainty. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, we braced ourselves for whatever waited in the darkness beyond the cabin walls. We walked a narrow trail, desperate for daylight and answers. Suddenly Chloe stopped. Was that shed there before? It was old, black with rot, and definitely new to us. Inside, a single wooden chair sat in the centre, surrounded by dozens of tiny barefoot footprints circling endlessly. Maya gasped. The footprints were a child's, the only marks in the dust. Dread washed over us. We hurried back, the feeling of being watched stronger than ever. The forest seemed to close in behind us. That afternoon, a sickly sky and strange wind brought whispers, dry, menacing, everywhere at once. Soon they hissed our names from the shadows. Ja'asan, Chloe, Liam, Maya. Panic set in. Chloe sobbed. Liam paced. "We have to get out," he said. We packed in a frenzy as the whispers grew louder, laughing at our fear. Then, bang! A knock at the door. Silence. Another, louder. Bang! Bang! We froze, terror-stricken. Liam grabbed the keys. "Back door!" he hissed. We fled into the night, not daring to look back. We reached the clearing. Our car was gone. The silence pressed in, heavy and unnatural. The forest felt alive, watching. The road had vanished. Only twisted trees and thick mist remained, erasing any trace of civilization. Panic turned to terror as the forest closed in, trapping us. Shadows flickered, and every step felt heavier. I ran toward a distant light, hope flickering in the darkness, but I found myself back where I started. The forest had led me in a perfect circle. The cabin stood before me unchanged. Escape was impossible. The woods had trapped us in their endless maze. But the cabin was different, rotted, decayed, as if centuries had passed. My friends were gone. Silence pressed in. Compelled, I entered. Inside, the same wooden chair sat untouched in the centre. A tall, thin figure in tattered rags sat there, head bowed. Terror rooted me. The figure began to lift its head. I ran, the woods parting for me, until I burst onto a road. A car stopped. I woke in a hospital alone. The police found nothing. No cabin, no shed, no friends. It was as if the place had never existed. Gap tues. Weeks passed, but the shadow of that night clung to me. Every mirror reflected a flicker behind my shoulder, a glimpse of tattered rags, a bowed head. Sometimes I'd wake to find muddy prints trailing from my door to my bed, vanishing at dawn. Gap tues. The police closed the case, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me back. On my wrist, a faint symbol had appeared, etched like an old scar, matching the carvings I'd seen on the cabin's door. Gap tues. Now, when the wind rises just right, I hear it. A whisper that calls my name from the edge of waking. The woods are gone, the cabin erased, but the haunting, Gap 1S. The haunting has found a new home.